Welcome back, folks. Final Four is here. Betting Pros, March Madness live stream. I'm Mike Randle. Follow me on Twitter at Randle Rant, and we are here at Betting Pros to give you the inside scoop on sides, totals, project that title game, and a few player props to make you some money here on the last weekend. Very sad, mixed reactions for college hoops. It's been a fantastic NCAA tournament, 2022 NCAA tournament. We have blue bloods. We have four blue bloods here: Nova, Duke, Kansas, North Carolina coming at you here, which is what you want. You like those upsets early. We all do. Miami, St. Peter's, Iowa State getting through. But in the end, we want these big schools, and that's what we have, which should be a ratings bonanza for the NCAA tournament. Don't forget, folks, to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel here. So much great stuff at Betting Pros. You can follow the picks in the app, the Betting Pros app, which is fantastic. I use it all the time. My picks will be in there as well. Sides, totals, props, whatever you want. Make sure to go to the site as well, bettingpros.com. We have articles breaking down each and every game, giving you a little leg up and a little advantage so you can make that money here on the last weekend of the NCAA tournament. Without further ado, let's get into it. First game, number one Kansas minus 4.5 versus number three Villanova. Over-under is 133. Kansas is the last number one seed left. And my first reaction here when I saw the line earlier in the week is, why is it so low? Justin Moore, obviously out, torn Achilles with Villanova. My reaction is, if Justin Moore was healthy, what would this line have been? Maybe it would have been 2, 1.5, 2.5, something like that. More brilliant this year, 14.8 points per game, 4.9 rebounds per game. And I've seen great games from Justin Moore. The one I remember the most is at Providence earlier this year, 19 points, 10 rebounds, dominant first half, kept them in that game with Providence, which they eventually won. He has not been great in the tournament, however, only 2 of 10 against Houston from the field, 3 of 9 versus Ohio State, but he is playing big minutes. So I think his loss is going to be substantial. Now, the loss is going to be measured to me by sort of a domino effect of what happens to this team. Caleb Daniels will start for Villanova, and there should be a minimal drop-off from Moore to Daniels. Daniels, big minutes as well, 30 or more in 7 straight games, 34 or more minutes in 6 of 7. But this is a Jenga puzzle. Who then steps up to take Daniels' role off the bench? Couple options here. First is Chris Arcidiacono, Ryan's brother. Ryan, a great career at Villanova, of course, NCAA champion. Chris comes in. Now, he played last year in this role. If you remember, Gillespie got hurt last year. Chris Arcidiacono came in. He played 10 minutes, then 13 minutes against Baylor. Actually did some good things when Gillespie was out. But that's a drop-off for me, folks, because he's only played 6 total minutes in 3 NCAA tournament games. I also think that Jay Wright has gone on record about bringing in 6'5" junior Brian Antoine, the former 5-star recruit, who's been very up and down his entire career with injuries, only 1.4 points per game, 19 total minutes in this tournament, and did not play against Houston. Now, I remember being asked earlier in the year, can Nova make the Final Four? And my comparison to Nova was their 2 championship games that they had under Jay Wright in the last decade. And in those with those teams, what they've done is they've made their 2-pointers. They haven't turned the ball over. They had a slow pace. They've made 3-pointers, and they had veteran leadership. This team profiled all year long similarly to those teams, but the problem is they don't have NBA talent on this team. Those old teams with Pascal and all the players that they had, even Dante DiVincenzo is doing some nice things now for the Kings. They had NBA players. I don't see it, and I think it's going to be a problem in this game. Now, if you like Villanova, the bet I think you should make is Villanova +2 in the first half. The Wildcats are going to have to control tempo. They're going to have to keep Kansas from getting away from them, because the one thing Villanova cannot have, if you're looking at a live game situation, they can't get down. If they get down big, it's going to be a problem, because all of their success is predicated on controlling the ball and controlling the game. I think Jay Wright will burn timeouts early if he has to prevent Kansas from getting ahead. But I do think the Jayhawks, after a tough battle with a great team, a well-coached team under Jay Wright, Hall of Fame coach, I think Kansas will eventually pull away late in the second half. Jayhawks top 7 in offense, top 18 in defense per KenPom. They allow their opponents to shoot under 30% from three-point range. That's 17th best in the country. That's critical against Villanova. With a lack of a real strong interior presence, Eric Dixon is not your typical interior big. They're going to have to make some threes. Jayhawks also shot 36% from three-point range in Big 12 play, so the Kansas Jayhawks are going to make their threes as well. They're strong on the boards, Kansas. They don't force turnovers, but Villanova doesn't turn over anyway. I don't think that's a big discrepancy. If Villanova was healthy, I would be all over the Wildcats in this game. But it is a domino effect. No more Daniel starts, weaker bench. God forbid there's foul trouble, which they've avoided. I think their defense takes a little bit of a hit because they're not going to want to be as aggressive because they're going to avoid foul trouble. I think the greatness of Jay Wright, I think the greatness of Villanova keeps this game close for the majority, but I am going to lay the points here with Kansas, -4.5, -110 on DK. But I do think that Villanova controls pace enough that you can look to the under 133, -110 on DK. So two official picks here. Jayhawks laying the points at 4.5. I think they win by 6 to 8 points comfortably, pulling ahead late. Villanova being down is a problem for them, but I do like the under. The over-under in the first half is 61, which is super interesting, 30-29, something like that. But I'll take the full game over 133. Villanova can't extend pressure. They can't pick up the pace. I think they will get their pace, which is what's dictated by this line, because if the line is 4.5, Vegas thinks it's close. If Vegas thinks it's close, it's not going to be a high-scoring game because Villanova can't win that way given their limitations. So two picks here. Kansas -4.5, -110 on DK, under 133, -110 on DK as well. Make sure if you have any questions, please put them in the chat as always, and we will get to them. Second game, the apocalyptic game, Duke, North Carolina. Number 2, Duke, -4 versus number 8, North Carolina. It's -110 on DK, and the over-under is a robust 151. UNC has been on quite a ride, and I faded UNC a lot of the year and really jumped off them when they lost to Pittsburgh at home. But since that point, they've won 10 of 11. They've beat major teams in UCLA. They've beaten Baylor, have played fantastic. I just think the regression monster is coming. The reason is the window to defeat the Duke Blue Devils officially closed. Think back to 2019 when Duke had Zion and they had RJ Barrett and they had Cam Reddish. They lost to Tom Izzo, which Krzyzewski normally doesn't do, and Michigan State in the Elite Eight. Why? It was a superior defensive team, which North Carolina is not. Duke escaped Texas Tech. Duke escaped Michigan State this year, and now I think they're rolling. The big key for this team has been the change of Jeremy Roach going into the starting lineup. Since Roach has gotten into that lineup, everything has been different. He has players now who are in roles, shooting guards, power forwards, centers, Theo John backing up Mark Williams, and everyone has a much better defined role. Jeremy Roach, almost 13 points per game, almost 5 assists per game, and has played 35 minutes in each of the 4 games here in the NCAA tournament. It was a critical change by Krzyzewski. That was not the case on the last regular season game when North Carolina hung 93, 92 points on Duke and beat them in Cameron. I think Duke owns a huge advantage inside. Remember, no Dawson Garcia. He left the team. So it's pretty much Armando Bacot inside. Puff Johnson is not that type of player. So if Bacot gets in foul trouble, I think North Carolina struggles. Mark Williams, Theo John should limit Bacot, who's been fantastic. 17 points per game, 13 rebounds per game. But again, we're looking for a little bit of regression. I think that they're not going to let Duke, Caleb Love, and RJ Davis get off here for 30 points each, which they've done each of the first 2 games of the tournament. I think they're going to limit Brady Maddox. Spoiler alert, we'll get to that in the player prop. This is Duke's time. There is no way that Duke is going to lose this game. Coach K's Final Four, arch rival. Really, you can argue the biggest game of Krzyzewski's career at Duke, because if he loses this, it will be remembered forever. North Carolina already beat Duke in the regular season. It's Hubert Davis's first year. He's a first-year head coach. They've had tremendous success. They've made a Final Four. They're playing with house money. Duke is not. What you need in the NCAA tournament late in the year is shot makers, and that's what Duke has. They have the bigs inside. They can make three-pointers with Griffin outside. Banchero's a top 5 pick. Roach is in the starting lineup. The defense has been great, and they have motivation. I do not buy this idea that because North Carolina beat them once, that's an advantage. I think it's a disadvantage. I think Duke is focused. I think you're getting maximum effort. I am going to take Duke -4, -110 on DK. I have no read on the total. I think it could get up and down. I think it could be a slow game. People talk about this being in New Orleans. The last 3 games, Final Four and championship game that were in New Orleans, all went under. But the prior time it was in New Orleans back in 2003 with Dwayne Wade and Marquette, the 3 games went over. So I don't think there's an advantage either way. These 2 teams want to run. I don't want to touch this one at all. The prior game I like because I think Villanova controls tempo. I believe in that. In this game, it's right at that number, 70-73, 76-71. I don't want any part of it. So I'm staying away from the total, but I am going with Duke. Duke is not losing this game. Duke -4, -110 on DK. Question here. If either match has a team first half lead 8+ points, any team you feel particularly struggles to make up the ground over 40 minutes? Yes, Christian, I do. I don't think that Villanova can make that up whatsoever against Kansas. In the other direction, I do think that if North Carolina is behind, I think the tourniquet is going to start to come. Duke is going to give maximum effort in this game. If Duke is down 8 points, I have no problem with that. I think they can make a comeback. North Carolina made up a 10-point deficit in the first game against Duke. I don't think they're doing it again. If you like UNC, you don't want them down early. They're not rallying because think about it. In order for North Carolina to rally, you need Bacot not to get into foul trouble. You need the threes to fall. You need Brady Manek. Do you think Mike Krzyzewski is going to let Brady Manek beat him again? He's a weeble. He stands outside. He doesn't attack off the dribble. It's not going to happen again. So I just think the scheme, the coaching advantage lends itself to Duke. If you like UNC, Christian, they should not get down early because I think that's a huge problem for them making up a deficit. Now let's get to some player props. There's 4 that I like. First thing I want to tip you off about, make sure to go to BettingPros. We have our cheat sheet. You can look at the props right on bettingpros.com and see which ones you like. I like a lot of unders in the first game. People like to bet overs. That's an initial reaction. You know, the lines get affected by that. First one I like is Ochai Agbaji under 16.5 points, -120 on DK. Agbaji is a first-team All-American. He is Kansas's go-to player. But here's the issue with Agbaji. Whenever Kansas has a lead guard, a la Wayne Selden, a la Ben McLemore, they tend to let the game come to them. I think it's because Bill Self has a disciplined offensive system, and I think people don't want to take bad shots within that system. Agbaji has hit his under in every single game in this tournament except for the last one. And oh, by the way, the reason Agbaji went over his point total in the last game was because he hit a 3 with 3 minutes left when there was 5 subs sitting at that table to check in. So we've almost gone 4 for 4 with Agbaji hitting his unders in the tournament. This line's at 16.5. I think he's around 14, 15 points. It's a low-scoring game against a good defensive team in Villanova. Variance is going to increase. I'm not on Agbaji. People still view him as the leading scorer, first-team All-American. I don't see him that way anymore. The only way he hits this is if he has one of those hot 3-point games, and I just don't think that's coming against a Villanova team that locks you down from beyond the arc. So the first prop I'm on, Ochai Agbaji of Kansas, under 16.5 points, -120 on DK. Juice is a little high. Make sure you shop around, but I like that one a lot. Second, I've made a lot of money on Jermaine Samuels of Villanova hitting his over. He struggled at the end of the regular season. He had some injuries. He's looked hot since then, but the line has adjusted too much. Samuels under 14.5 points, -110 on FanDuel. The line has creeped up. It was at 10.5. I hit it. It was at 12.5 2 games ago. We hit it. Now it's at 14.5. It's a little high. I think we're getting some value here. I think Samuels is a little overvalued for what Samuels can do. He's a critical player, but again, with the slow pace of play, I will take Samuels under 14.5 points here, getting good value, -110 on FanDuel. I think because it has increased because he has hit the over a couple times in a row. The one over I like in the Villanova game is Caleb Daniels. Caleb Daniels coming off the bench. There's not really a public support here for Daniels because he was a bench player. 12.5 points. You're getting plus money, +100 on DK. I love this pick because I think Caleb Daniels can be exactly what Justin Moore can be, except more efficient, better from the field, shoots well from deep, attacks the basket, gets to the foul line. Caleb Daniels as the X factor. I will take him over 12.5 points, +100 on DK. That's my third one. And the last one here, I'm going for an under with Duke, North Carolina. I'm going with Brady Manek, under 2.5 threes, -109 on BetMGM. Folks, when you get a chance later, go to Brady Manek's box score in this tournament. He's shooting 50% from three-point range, but over 65, almost 70% of his points come from beyond the arc. Duke will be able to take him out. They did not respect him in the first game, caught him by surprise. He's going to be eliminated. What they're going to do is they'll play their tough man defense, and they will not help off of Manek. Manek is not the guy to beat you off the dribble. He's not going to rip through and get N1s. He's looking for putbacks inside on rebounds, and he's looking for three-pointers. Duke will not let that happen. Manek has hit 3, 5, 4 three-pointers, which is why the contrarian play is going under. 2.5 is the perfect number. I think he hits 2, no more. Brady Manek under 2.5 threes minus 109. BetMGM, shop around, make sure you can get better value there. If you see something with decent juice, minus 120 or under for 3.5, I'd grab that as well. I think Manic is someone who has a lot of public support because he's been hot. We're going in the other direction. Always questionable shooting threes. Remember Villanova, Oklahoma with Buddy Hield a few years ago when they won their title. Oklahoma couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. And I think Brady Manic steps back here as well. So just to recap, everyone, we're going with Kansas minus 4.5, and we like that game under that Villanova should control. If you want a side wager and you like the Wildcats, I would grab the Wildcats +2 in the first half. Duke is not losing to North Carolina. If they win by 2 or 3, so be it. I will lay the 4 points here in a revenge spot for the Blue Devils in Coach K's last Final Four, going for that illustrious next title before he retires. And the player props, 3 unders, Abaji of Kansas under 16.5, Samuels of Villanova under 14.5, Manic of North Carolina under 2.5 threes, and Caleb Daniels coming off the bench with a nice solid 14, 15-point game here for Villanova over 12.5. You're getting plus money on DK. That's it, folks. BettingPros.com. Download the app. Check out those picks. Go to the site. Best stuff you'll find in the business, giving you help, giving you an edge on where to make your picks. For Betting Pros, live stream, Final Four. Enjoy it, folks. We will see you on Monday, hopefully for a brilliant championship game. Follow me on Twitter at Randle Rant, bettingpros.com. We will see you soon.